Stop lying to yourself about waiting for the right opportunity. The brutal truth is that opportunities don't exist until you create them. And while you're sitting there scrolling through job boards and networking events, hoping someone will hand you your dream life, other people are building empires from the same circumstances you're complaining about. Every successful person you admire started with the same 24 hours, the same economic challenges, and the same access to information that you have right now. The only difference is they stopped waiting for permission to succeed and started manufacturing their own possibilities. Your current situation isn't your prison sentence. It's your raw material. But most people are too comfortable being victims to become creators. You know what separates winners from quitters? It's not talent. It's not money. It's not connections. It's something far more powerful. Let me tell you about Maria Gonzalez, a woman who changed everything I thought I knew about opportunity. Maria was 43 years old, cleaning office buildings at night in downtown Miami. Every morning at 6 a.m., she would drag herself home, exhausted, making barely enough to feed her 3 children. But here's what made Maria different. While other cleaners complained about their low wages and dreamed of winning the lottery, Maria was watching. She was studying. She was learning. Every night as she emptied the trash cans of successful executives, she would read their discarded papers, marketing reports, business plans, financial statements. She didn't just clean their offices. She absorbed their world. One night she found a crumpled memo about a company's struggle to find reliable cleaning services for medical facilities. The memo mentioned how regular cleaning companies couldn't meet the strict sanitation standards required by hospitals and clinics. Most people would have thrown that paper away. Maria saw gold. She spent the next 3 months researching medical cleaning protocols. She studied regulations online using the free internet at the public library. She contacted suppliers and learned about specialized equipment. She didn't wait for someone to give her a chance. She created her own chance. Within 6 months, Maria had quit her night job and started MedClean Solutions. Today, her company employs over 200 people and generates millions in revenue annually. Maria didn't chase an opportunity. She manufactured one from the scraps other people threw away. This is the difference between eagle thinking and chicken thinking. Chickens scratch around looking for food that someone else scattered on the ground. Eagles soar high, survey the entire landscape, and swoop down to create their own meal. The chicken waits for the farmer to feed them. The eagle feeds itself. Most people live their entire lives as chickens. They wake up every morning looking for opportunities that someone else created. They scan job boards hoping someone will post the perfect position. They wait for their boss to notice their hard work. They pray for a lucky break. They chase every shiny object that promises quick success. But here's what nobody tells you about opportunity chasers. They're always hungry because they're always waiting. They're always frustrated because they're always following. They're always broke because they're always begging for scraps from someone else's table. Eagle-minded people think completely different. They understand that opportunities don't exist in the world waiting to be found. Opportunities exist in your mind waiting to be created every single day. Your brain has the capacity to manufacture possibilities that never existed before. Every problem you encounter is raw material for a solution you can sell. Every frustration you experience is feedback about a need you can fill. When Maria was cleaning those offices, she wasn't thinking about how unfair life was. She wasn't complaining about her circumstances. She was asking different questions. Instead of, why me? She asked, what can I learn? Instead of, when will things get better? She asked, how can I make things better? Instead of, who will give me a chance? This shift in questioning changes everything. Questions are the steering wheel of your mind. Ask victim questions, and your mind will find evidence that you're a victim. Ask creator questions, and your mind will find ways to create. The reason most people never experience the life they want is because they have trained their minds to look for opportunities instead of create them. They scroll through social media envying other people's success instead of studying what made that success possible. They spend hours watching other people live their dreams on television instead of spending those same hours building their own dreams. But when you shift from chicken thinking to eagle thinking, everything changes. You stop looking at your current situation as your permanent address. You start seeing it as your current material to work with. You stop asking, what's in it for me? And start asking, what's in me for the world? Maria had the same 24 hours as everyone else. She had the same economic challenges. She had the same responsibilities. But she had eagle thinking. She understood that her circumstances were not their conclusion. They were her classroom. Every night when she walked into those offices, she wasn't just going to work. She was going to school. She was researching. She was preparing. She was creating the foundation for opportunities that didn't exist yet. This is what opportunity creators do. They use their current position as a laboratory to experiment with their future position. They turn their present struggles into research for their coming solutions. They transform their daily grind into their daily growth. You have this same power right now in your current situation. You have access to information, people, problems, and possibilities that no one else has. The question is not whether opportunities exist around you. The question is whether you have trained your mind to manufacture them. When you wake up tomorrow morning, you can choose to be a chicken or an eagle. You can scratch around looking for what others have dropped, or you can soar high and create what others need. You can wait for opportunity to knock on your door, or you can build doors that opportunity can't resist opening. The choice is yours. But remember this: chickens lay eggs and then hope someone will buy them. Eagles build nests and then rule their territory. Which one will you be? Your mind is not just a computer that processes information. It's a manufacturing plant that produces possibilities 24 hours a day. But most people have shut down their factory without even knowing it. They've turned their mental assembly line into a complaint department. Let me tell you about Robert Kim, a man who understood this principle better than anyone I've ever met. Robert was working at a car parts factory in Detroit when the plant announced massive layoffs. While his co-workers spent their time talking about how unfair the economy was and how robots were taking their jobs, Robert was thinking differently. Every day during his lunch break, Robert would walk through the factory and watch the machines work. He noticed something that everyone else ignored. The automated assembly line would occasionally jam when a part came through slightly bent or damaged. When this happened, the entire production line would shut down for minutes or sometimes hours while technicians fixed the problem. But here's what fascinated Robert. The rejected parts weren't really broken. They were just slightly out of specification. The company would throw them away as scrap metal, even though most of them could be fixed with simple adjustments. Robert started taking these rejected parts home in his garage. He would straighten them, clean them, and test them. Most of them worked perfectly fine, while his co-workers were complaining about losing their jobs. Robert was collecting raw materials for his future business when the layoffs came. Robert was ready. He had already contacted smaller auto repair shops in the area. These shops couldn't afford to buy new parts from the big suppliers, but they desperately needed affordable alternatives for their customers' older vehicles. Robert started Detroit Renewed Parts from his garage, refurbishing and reselling the rejected components that the big factory threw away. Within 2 years, he had hired 12 of his former co-workers. Today, his company processes over 50,000 parts annually and serves repair shops across 3 states. The factory saw scrap metal, Robert saw raw materials. The factory saw waste, Robert saw wealth. The factory saw problems, Robert saw products. This is how your mind works when you understand its true function. Your brain is not designed to just consume information. It's designed to manufacture solutions. Every single day, you encounter problems, frustrations, inefficiencies, and unmet needs. These are not obstacles in your path. They are raw materials for your mental factory. But most people have programmed their minds to operate like a complaint department instead of a manufacturing plant. When they encounter a problem, they ask, why is this happening to me? Instead of, what can I make from this? When they face a challenge, they focus on what's wrong instead of what's possible. Robert's mind worked differently when he saw rejected parts. His mental factory immediately started asking manufacturing questions. How can these be fixed? Who needs these? What's the market value? How can I create a system to process these consistently? Your mind has this same capability. Right now, you're surrounded by rejected parts, problems that other people have given up on, inefficiencies that everyone complains about but nobody fixes, needs that everyone talks about but nobody serves. The difference between successful people and struggling people is not their circumstances. It's how their mental factory processes those circumstances. Struggling people use their minds to manufacture excuses, complaints, and reasons why things won't work. Successful people use their minds to manufacture solutions, strategies, and systems that create value. When Robert walked through that factory, he wasn't just observing. He was conducting research and development in his mental laboratory. Every rejected part he saw was data for his analysis. Every inefficiency he noticed was raw material for his innovation. This is what your mind can do when you understand its manufacturing potential. Every conversation you have is market research. Every problem you encounter is product development. Every frustration you experience is feedback about a need you can fill. But here's the key. Robert didn't just think about these ideas. He took action on them. He collected the parts. He tested the repairs. He contacted potential customers. He built relationships with shop owners. He created systems and processes. Your mental factory is only as powerful as your willingness to act on what it produces. Ideas without execution are just entertainment. Possibilities without implementation are just daydreams. Your mind can manufacture amazing opportunities, but you have to be willing to build them into reality. The beautiful thing about Robert's story is that he didn't need special education or massive capital or powerful connections. He needed the right mindset and the willingness to work with what was available to him. He turned rejected parts into renewed possibilities. You have access to rejected parts all around you. Problems that others have dismissed. Inefficiencies that others have accepted. Needs that others have ignored. Your mental factory has everything it needs to manufacture opportunities from these raw materials. The question is not whether you have enough resources. The question is whether you've trained your mind to see resources where others see obstacles. The question is whether your mental factory is operating as a complaint department or a manufacturing plant. Starting today, when you encounter problems, ask manufacturing questions. When you face challenges, look for raw materials. When you see inefficiencies, think about solutions you can build and sell. Your mind is the most powerful manufacturing plant on earth. It's time to put it back into production. Most people are sitting on gold mines and don't even know it. They're searching the world for treasure while standing on buried riches. They're looking for opportunities in distant places while ignoring the wealth beneath their feet. Let me tell you about Grace Williams, a woman who taught me that the greatest opportunities are often invisible to everyone except the person who creates them. Grace was a single mother working as a receptionist at a dental office in Atlanta. Every day, she watched patients come and go, and she noticed something that bothered her. Parents would bring their children for appointments, and the kids would be terrified. They would cry, scream, and sometimes refuse to even enter the treatment room. The dentists and hygienists tried their best to calm the children, but they were medical professionals, not child entertainers. Parents would leave stressed and embarrassed. Children would leave traumatized. The dental staff would be exhausted from dealing with upset families. Most people would have just accepted this as the way things are. Children are afraid of dentists. That's normal. That's life. But Grace saw something different. She saw a problem that nobody was solving. She saw pain that nobody was healing. She saw a need that nobody was meeting during her lunch breaks. Grace started researching child psychology and dental anxiety. She learned about techniques that could help children feel safe and comfortable during medical procedures. She studied how children's hospitals use storytelling and role-playing to reduce fear. Grace began bringing simple props to work. A puppet that would go to the dentist first to show children what would happen. Stickers that turned dental chairs into spaceships or race cars. Stories that transformed dental cleanings into adventures. The transformation was incredible. Children who had been screaming in terror were now laughing and cooperating. Parents who had dreaded dental visits were now grateful and relaxed. The dental staff could focus on their medical work instead of managing frightened children. Word spread quickly. Other dental offices started calling, asking if Grace could help with their young patients too. Grace realized she had stumbled onto something bigger than she had imagined. She left her receptionist job and started Gentle Smiles Pediatric Services. She trains dental offices how to create child-friendly environments and provide specialized staff who know how to work with anxious young patients. Today, her company serves over 40 dental practices across the Southeast, and Grace earns more in a month than she used to make in a year. The invisible gold mine was right there in front of everyone. Hundreds of people saw the same crying children, the same frustrated parents, the same stressed dental staff. But only Grace saw the opportunity hidden inside the problem. This is what separates opportunity creators from opportunity chasers. Chasers look for opportunities that already exist. Creators see opportunities that don't exist yet. Chasers search for gold that someone else has already discovered. Creators mine gold from ore that others think is worthless rock. Your current situation, no matter how ordinary it seems, contains invisible gold mines. Problems that everyone complains about, but nobody solves. Inefficiencies that everyone accepts, but nobody improves. Frustrations that everyone experiences, but nobody addresses. Grace wasn't looking for a business opportunity when she started bringing puppets to work. She was just trying to help frightened children feel better. But when you consistently focus on solving problems and serving people, opportunities naturally emerge from your efforts. The goldmine principle works like this. Value comes before reward. Service comes before success. Contribution comes before compensation. When you focus on creating value for others, you automatically create opportunities for yourself. Grace didn't start by asking, how can I make money? She started by asking, how can I help these children? She didn't begin with, what's my business plan? She began with, what's the real problem here? She didn't start by calculating profit margins. She started by caring about people's pain. But here's the crucial part. Grace didn't just care. She acted, she researched, she experimented, she tested solutions, she measured results. She turned her compassion into competence and her concern into capability. You have the same invisible gold mines all around you. In your workplace, there are problems everyone talks about but nobody fixes. In your community, there are needs everyone acknowledges but nobody serves. In your industry, there are inefficiencies everyone accepts but nobody improves. The question is not whether opportunities exist in your current situation. The question is whether you've trained your eyes to see them and your hands to mind them. Success is not an event. Success is a system. And the most powerful system you can develop is the daily discipline of opportunity creation. Most people wait for opportunities to happen to them. Smart people make opportunities happen for them every single day. But here's what nobody teaches you about creating opportunities. It's not about having one brilliant idea that changes your life overnight. It's about developing daily habits that consistently manufacture possibilities. It's about turning opportunity creation into a routine as natural as brushing your teeth. Think about how a river carves through solid rock. It doesn't happen with one massive flood. It happens with the consistent flow of water, day after day, year after year, until the river creates a canyon where none existed before. Your daily actions have the same power to carve opportunities out of circumstances that seem as solid as stone. The first daily discipline is problem awareness. Most people go through their day unconsciously. They experience frustrations, inefficiencies, and unmet needs. But they don't register them as opportunities. They treat problems like background noise instead of recognizing them as the raw material for solutions. Opportunity creators develop what I call problem radar. They tune their minds to notice what's not working, what's missing, what could be better. When they're stuck in traffic, they don't just complain. They think about transportation solutions. When they wait in long lines, they don't just get frustrated. They consider efficiency improvements. When they struggle with a task, they don't just push through. They analyze what tools or systems could make it easier. The second daily discipline is solution thinking. Once you've identified a problem, most people stop there. They complain, they vent, they accept it as unchangeable reality. Opportunity creators immediately shift into solution mode. They ask, how could this be solved? What would make this better? Who else faces the same problem? What resources exist to address this? This is not about becoming a professional problem solver. This is about training your mind to automatically generate solutions instead of just identifying complaints. When you develop this mental habit, you start seeing possibilities everywhere. The third daily discipline is connection building. Opportunities rarely exist in isolation. They emerge from the intersection of problems, solutions, and people. Every person you meet knows something you don't know. Every person you meet has access to resources, information, or networks that could be valuable. Every person you meet faces problems that you might be able to solve. Opportunity creators approach relationships differently. They're not networking to get something. They're connecting to give something. They listen for problems they can solve, needs they can meet, value they can provide. They understand that the fastest way to create opportunities is to become valuable to other people. The fourth daily discipline is learning with purpose. Most people learn randomly. They consume information without connecting it to application. Opportunity creators learn strategically. Everything they study, they're asking, how can I use this? Who needs this? What problem does this solve? Where's the opportunity in this knowledge? They read industry publications looking for trends they can serve. They study successful businesses looking for models they can adapt. They learn new skills looking for services they can provide. Their education is always connected to opportunity creation. The fifth daily discipline is experimental action. Ideas without execution are worthless. Opportunity creators don't just think about possibilities, they test them. They start small experiments to see what works. They build prototypes, conduct surveys, test markets, gather feedback. They understand that failure is just data collection. Every experiment teaches them something valuable, whether it succeeds or fails. They're not afraid of small failures because they know small failures prevent big disasters and lead to bigger successes. These 5 disciplines compound over time. Each day you practice problem awareness, your radar becomes more sensitive. Each day you practice solution thinking, your creative muscles become stronger. Each day you build connections. Your network becomes more valuable. Each day you learn with purpose. Your knowledge becomes more applicable. Each day you take experimental action. Your execution skills improve. Most people underestimate the power of daily disciplines because the results are not immediately visible. but consistency always beats intensity in the long run. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide who they're going to be. Are you going to spend your life chasing opportunities that may never come? Or are you going to become the kind of person that opportunities cannot resist? The difference between these two choices will determine everything about your future. Let me tell you about David Chen, a man who taught me that the ultimate goal is not to find opportunities, but to become so valuable that opportunities find you. David was working as a night security guard at a technology park in Silicon Valley, while other guards spent their shifts watching television or sleeping. David was curious about the companies he was protecting. He would walk through the empty offices and read the whiteboards, study the product displays, and observe the equipment. His own company particularly fascinated him. They manufactured sensors for industrial equipment. But David noticed they were struggling with a problem. Their sensors were incredibly accurate, but they were also extremely expensive. Small manufacturers couldn't afford them, so they used cheaper, less reliable alternatives that often failed and caused costly downtime, instead of just noting this observation and moving on. David started researching during his breaks. He would use the company's guest internet to study sensor technology. He learned about different manufacturing processes, materials, and design approaches. He contacted suppliers and manufacturers around the world. He spent months understanding every aspect of the sensor business. But David didn't stop at research. He started experimenting. In his small apartment, he created a makeshift laboratory. He ordered components online and began building prototype sensors. Most of his early attempts failed completely. But with each failure, he learned something new. He refined his designs, improved his processes, and gradually developed sensors that were almost as accurate as the expensive ones, but cost 60% less to manufacture. After 18 months of secret experimentation, David had developed 3 working prototypes. But instead of quitting his security job to start a company, he did something different. He started building relationships with the engineers at the companies he was guarding during their late-night conversations. David would ask thoughtful questions about their challenges. He would share insights from his research. He would offer suggestions based on his experiments. The engineers began to respect his knowledge and seek his opinions. When David finally revealed his prototypes, the response was immediate. The engineers were amazed. Here was a security guard who had developed technology that their million-dollar research departments had been struggling with for years. But the real breakthrough came when David realized something profound. He didn't need to start his own company to capitalize on his innovation. The companies he had been studying needed his expertise more than they needed another competitor. David proposed a different arrangement. Instead of manufacturing sensors himself, he would license his designs to existing companies and provide consulting services to help them optimize their production processes. He would become their innovation partner rather than their competitor. The transformation was remarkable. Within 6 months, David had licensing agreements with 4 companies. Within a year, he was earning more from his consulting fees than most engineers made in salary. Within 2 years, companies were competing to hire him for special projects. Today, David runs an innovation consulting firm that helps technology companies solve their most difficult engineering challenges. He never chases clients. They come to him because he has built a reputation as someone who can solve problems that others cannot solve. The beautiful thing about David's story is not just his financial success. It's the fundamental shift in his relationship with opportunity. He stopped being someone who needed opportunities and became someone that opportunities needed. This transformation happened because David understood a crucial principle. Opportunities don't chase desperate people. They chase prepared people. They don't chase people who need them. They chase people who can serve them. They say, I want this, and I'll do what. When you focus on becoming valuable rather than becoming rich, when you focus on solving problems rather than making money, when you focus on serving others rather than serving yourself, you create a magnetic field that pulls opportunities toward you. Then, once you discover the solution, when you put your effort, you act out the portfolio. David didn't become successful because he found the right opportunity. He became successful because he became the right person. He developed knowledge that others needed. He created solutions that others couldn't create. He built relationships that others couldn't build. This is the ultimate mindset shift. Stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, what can I give? Stop asking, what's in it for me? And start asking, what's in me for others? Stop asking, how can I find opportunities? And start asking, how can I become an opportunity for others? When you make this shift, everything changes. You stop competing with other people for limited opportunities. You start creating unlimited opportunities that didn't exist before. You stop worrying about missing out on chances. You start focusing on creating chances for yourself and others. You stop being a hunter and become a magnet. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop seeking and start serving. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can spend another day chasing opportunities that may never come. Or you can start becoming the person that opportunities cannot ignore. The choice is yours. But remember this, opportunities don't chase people who need them. They chase people who don't need them because they create them every single day. Become that person. Your future depends on it.